Again, the United States has announced its withdrawal from UNESCO. The U.S. said the UN Cultural and Educational Agency, best known for establishing World Heritage Sites, is biased against Israel and promotes divisive causes. The State Department spokeswoman said that continued involvement in UNESCO is not in the national interest of the United States. The U.S. exit was expected under President Donald Trump, who also ordered withdrawal from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization in 2017 during his first term, which President Joe Biden then rejoined when he came to power. Policy analyst Alexander Von Rugen joins me now to discuss the implication of Trump's withdrawal from these UN organizations, not once, not even twice. Thank you for being here tonight. President Trump's decision to move the U.S. from the UNESCO effective next year isn't new because it's a repeat of what we've seen in his previous term. What are really the stakes here?
Well, as you indicated, it wasn't unusual that he withdrew because he's done that before in his previous presidency. But what UNESCO did in 2014 is they allowed Palestine as a full member of UNESCO, which is a significant move to supporting statehood in Palestine. So, and this is against Israel's wishes, and Israel's staunchest supporter is, of course, the United States. So if it's, it's a bit of a stretch to say it's not pro-Israel or it's anti-Semitic. In effect, it's against the will of Israel. A lot of people aren't talking about it, but they're condemning the situation in Gaza, but they're not acknowledging the fact that there will be never a non-occupation of Gaza by Israel. In fact, it's highly unlikely that will ever be a two-state system in existence in Gaza, as it's proven in the past not to work.
Okay, the White House said the UNESCO decision to admit the Palestinians as a member state was, quote, highly problematic, contrary to U.S. policy, and contributed to the proliferation of anti-Israel rhetoric, end quote. Is that really so?
Well, as I just indicated, it goes against Israel's policies. They want to annex Gaza. They're going about it in a very controversial manner. We read about it every day in the paper of how many Palestinians are dying in the food lines, children starving, and it seems to me that part of the strategy is to just bombard us with this negative news till we become numb. And the end game here is to take over Gaza. So that's the game plan. Anything that disrupts that is going to meet with retaliation from America. Another example of this was South Africa's sponsorship to the International Court of Justice against Israel for its actions in Gaza. America immediately stood up and started sanctioning South Africa for a plethora of other reasons, not blaming their action at the International Court of Justice, but it was punishment for them contradicting Israel.
Donald Trump's deep skepticism of groups like the UN and NATO has always been there. But the fear amongst many is that it creates inroads for China and other rivals to take over the soft power space for global relations. Do you share this concern?
Well, I think that's a machine that's been in motion for some time now. If we look at Africa as a continent, the Chinese have made numerous inroads there, building infrastructure for various countries. The bad news is they've created death spirals for a lot of those countries that now owe large amounts of money to China and are being forced to give up their natural resources in lieu of their debt payments. That is a situation that makes a lot of people resentful. America is trying to salvage that movement of China into Africa by offering trade instead of aid. And I can't help but think part of the agenda in cutting off the aid to Africa, U.S. aid, and defunding the UN and defunding the NGOs was part of that plan, because it's put many countries off balance, that are reliant on the IMF for funding and the UN, and forcing them back to the table again with dealing with the U.S., which is in desperate need of certain natural resources, which are abundant in Africa.
How do you think, what has been UN's response to these Trump's move, and what do you think UNESCO, how rather do you think UNESCO should be responding to Trump? I mean, they've gone out, US has gone out before and come back and they accepted. Should they keep doing this?
Well, I think UNESCO, what Trump doesn't like is they have a globalist attitude. That's part of what Trump is against, and that was part of his election platform. But in the scope of what the net effect is, America only contributes 8% of UNESCO's budget. So will they survive without America? I think they'll do all right. They do have the support of Europe, and Europe tends to have globalist attitudes more so than America does.
All right, Alexander, thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.